What mental health means to me is how your thoughts, how you're handling life mentally, if you're overthinking or you're feeling very happy or you're feeling anxious.
What mental health means to me is taking care of yourself and being able to put yourself first sometimes, which might be hard, but at the end of the day, you're only ever going to have yourself, and so taking care of yourself is very important, and taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of the rest of you.
Whenever I'm stressed out or having a bad mental health day, I try to remind myself that whatever it isn't the end of the world.
What mental health means is listening to your body.
Ways that I relieve any stress, or if I'm having a bad mental health day, I take a break, take some time to myself, recharge my social battery, do yoga, tell myself positive thoughts.
Set aside an hour of exercise, whether that's going out for a run, a walk.
Sit by the trees and the grass. I do like to sit by the ocean and just listen to the waves, or I just need to listen to music.
Taking time for yourself and being able to make time to have some self-care. Seeing a therapist, you don't need to have any issues going on in your life to be able to talk to a therapist. They are a person to talk to for anything.
I will take the day to do something that makes me happy. Go to the beach, spend some time with my dog or my family or my friends to bring me back to normal.
Meditation, drawing, I like to paint, writing as well, journaling, and a notebook.
So at the end of the day, whatever you tell yourself is really how you're going to feel mentally.
Welcome back. I'm Madelyn Signer. Sorry about those technical difficulties we just experienced, but let's just jump right into our next segment. I'm here with a special guest.
Hi, I'm Kristin Kosyluk. I'm an assistant professor of mental health law and policy at USF, here at USF, in the College of Behavioral and Community Sciences. And I'm also the director of a research lab at USF called the STigma Action Research Lab, or STAR Lab. So all of the work that we do in STAR Lab aims to understand and address the stigma surrounding mental illness.
That's awesome. And what about your role within This Is My Brave?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I just mentioned I run a stigma research lab, and This Is My Brave is a national nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce stigma surrounding mental illness and addiction. And so back in 2015, the co-founder and former executive director of the organization, Jennifer Marshall, contacted me. She was looking for a research partner who could help her to document the impact of her programming. It's really important for the programs that we deliver to be actually achieving the outcomes that they're aiming for. And so that's what I've been helping them do since that time. So I'm now serving as the lead evaluator of This Is My Brave.
Nice, yeah. Stigma is a very important or very troubling part of mental health, so that's really, really awesome that that's the goal of the program. So how specifically do you feel that the show helps to break down the stigma?
Yeah, so, one thing I should add about my 2022, I finally had the opportunity to produce a show here at USF. So This Is My Brave brings storytellers who are people living with mental health conditions to the stage in a stage performance. And they tell their stories of their challenges with their mental illness or addiction, but also their journeys of recovery and hope. And they do so through any means of creative expression. So it could be poetry, monologue, song, dance, stand-up comedy. There's been a mime that's taken the This Is My Brave stage. Part of producing a show is a very kind of extensive process where it goes from issuing a casting call where you ask for storytellers interested in sharing their experiences to audition, through several months of rehearsals before the actual performance. So I bring all of that up now because this process that the performers go through itself has an effect on the cast.
Yeah.
And so what our preliminary research evidence is showing is that by telling your story on a This Is My Brave stage, by going through the transformative process of auditioning, rehearsing, and getting to know your other cast members and the production team, the cast members experience an increased sense of empowerment, a greater sense of self-esteem and self-efficacy, and an increased sense of optimism. So that's part of what I've seen the effect of This Is My Brave is on the cast members. On the audience, on the other hand, who comes to a theater and witnesses a performance, they experience, based on our research, from before to after watching the show, decreased level of stigma around mental illness, and then an increased willingness to seek treatment should they ever need it. We know that treatment is one of the greatest barriers, stigma is one of the greatest barriers to treatment seeking. So I think that's just such an important outcome.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be very, very healing for the performers, and I can imagine like very helpful for the audience members too, to help break that stigma, because that's such a difficult thing to deal with when people have concepts in their mind about what they think mental health looks like, and it's not always what the reality is.
Absolutely.
So what specific themes or messages does the show aim to communicate to the audience?
So, the cast so we have, for example, a cast of 10 storytellers right now, 10 current USF students who are bravely taking the stage. And they're sharing their experiences with different mental health conditions. So we have one storyteller who will talk about bipolar disorder, for example. Another storyteller is going to talk about substance use disorder. And so we have those types of themes, different mental health conditions and the different symptoms and challenges that come along with them. What's really important about storytelling around mental health is that you tell your story in a way that you end with a message of recovery or hope. And so that's one of the things that the storytellers really focus on when they're crafting their story, perfecting their story.
Yeah, just letting everybody know that it does get better, and there's a reason to be hopeful.
Yeah, absolutely.
How has the show impacted you personally, through working on it and watching it?
It's a great question. Well, first of all, even when I was just doing the research for This Is My Brave and I hadn't yet served as a show producer, it felt really good to be doing work with a community organization who I thought might be making a difference, a positive impact on mental health and stigma, and to be doing that sort of work gave my work purpose. Since producing a show, it's became even more meaningful to me, and it's really changed the way that I talk about my own mental health. Prior to producing the show, I really would share that, maybe I have loved ones, or I've had friends that have experienced mental health concerns, but wouldn't usually talk about my own experiences. And now I talk about them more openly. I share that I have a diagnosis of depression and anxiety, probably onset in early childhood, and didn't get treatment until college. And a big reason behind that, I think, is stigma. So if I'm asking 10 brave college students to take the stage and talk about their mental health, I felt like I should be willing to do the same.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I personally struggle with anxiety and depression, so I can really relate to that story. It's very hard to talk about, but those performers and yourself are so brave for sharing their stories, and I think it could really help somebody. Is there anything else that you'd like to add and share with our audience members, maybe some upcoming dates or how they can reach you?
Sure. So biggest thing is we are producing the second annual show for This Is My Brave College Edition here at USF on the Tampa campus this coming Friday, the 21st of April. It's at 7 p.m. Refreshments provided after the show. Tickets are free. And I believe that the link to buy tickets will be included in the info in the YouTube.
Yes, it definitely is.
Yeah. So come out and see the show and be inspired by these stories of hope.
Yeah, that's very interesting to me as well. I think I'll definitely have to look into coming to a show. This just touches me so personally, so like it's really amazing to hear about these performers and just like all of the services that you provide to the audience, you know, to really help break that stigma. I mean, it's such a difficult thing, you know, to have that stigma around mental health. But yeah, so I really, really appreciate you and the work that you're doing with this
Thank you so much.
company.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back with our next segment.
Good afternoon, Bulls. My name is Brittany Marroquin, and I will be interviewing a very special guest today, Aubrey Hall. Aubrey, tell the Bulls a little bit about yourself. What do you do and who do you represent?
Absolutely. So I'm actually the victim advocate here for our campus at USF St. Pete. I work in the Wellness Center, and my job is to support students who've experienced crime, trauma, or abuse. So I'm here today to just talk about how that could impact students, next steps, and resources that are available.
Gotcha. Awesome. I love that, and I definitely think it's a very vital source on our community. So to start us off with, what inspired you to become a victim advocate, and how did you get started in this field?
Yeah, so I actually am a USF alum, so go Bulls. I got my bachelor's and my master's at USF Tampa doing gender studies. And so I focused really on the impact of gender in our society, and I also was really interested in things like student affairs and public health. So all of that led me to working at a local nonprofit, which was a domestic violence and sexual assault facility for 6 years. Doing that work was really prevention-based. I worked at another institution not too far from here. And it really was an opportunity for me to see how can I support students and being able to access education. Going to college was really important for me. I was a first gen, and so for me, I thought, how can I make sure that every other student has the same opportunities as me? And if they are impacted, how can I support them?
That's awesome. I love how you took a role into your education. When you went to USF alumni, there's a lot of resources that, students aren't aware about. So that being said, what do you think are some of the most effective ways to support victims of crime and trauma, or how do you ensure that they receive these resources and needs?
Well, I'll actually start with the second part, just because I think what's really challenging is I can't. I can't make sure they access services. And I think that goes for whether it's mental health broadly, victim services, or any type of support. These are opt-in, and we operate on an empowerment-based model, which means that I'm not going to hunt students down. I don't want to drag them kicking and screaming to get support, because that's not an intrinsic motivator. So students show up when they're ready, and it's my job to support the campus and, for example, being educated that I am a resource. Because going to the first question, it's like the number one thing is if a student doesn't know about a resource, you do. And hopefully if you're in conversation and you hear that a friend, colleague, peer, you're like, well, hey, did you know about this? Like, I've actually met Aubrey. Have you ever been to the Wellness Center? And so that's the best way to make sure students get connected, is really to be aware yourself. And that's part of prevention and advocacy, is education, is knowing that what happened was a crime, for example, or what happened is worthy, quote unquote, of services, and that they're available here free and confidential. I think is really important, because a lot of times students on any campus, but especially on smaller campuses, sometimes fear that anonymity of well, I don't want other people to know. And so being confidential is really important, because whatever you say here stays here under most circumstances. And so being confidential is really important.
Gotcha. And I definitely love that, as a Bull, like hearing this, that confidentiality is super important. I know a lot of people take that into consideration. So yeah, definitely thanks for letting us know, the Bull campus, that everybody should pretty much be aware of what's, going on and word of mouth and just hearing it through people. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. And not only that, but just in that sense is like, we also know that a lot of students on our campus also take classes at Tampa or Sarasota Manatee. And the good thing is that like we're a resource for all students in our system. Okay. And sometimes students think like, oh, well, I can only get services here, or they don't know about the health fee that you literally already pay for this. And so I think that even just awareness that it's there, but then also that anywhere you go in our system, there is someone who can support you.
Gotcha. I love that. And as a student, I've been taking online classes. I was at the Tampa campus, St. Pete. So it's kind of good, to hear a little bit about each campus and what all the campuses do together as a whole. So that's awesome that, it's for everyone. So
absolutely.
Great. So that being said, what advice do you have for individuals who have experienced trauma, or what steps can they take to basically begin the healing process? Where can they start?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is, can you reread the first question? I just want to make sure I answer.
For sure. What advice do you have for individuals who experience trauma or victimization?
So the first thing is it sounds really simple, but there is no like direct plan. Like I wish there was like a checklist for healing, because I would hand it out all the time. But I think the number one thing is like, if you feel like you need someone to talk to, there are spaces for you. And sometimes just knowing that like there's no holds bar. I'm not a reporting resource. I don't have to do anything. You can literally come into my room and just talk and know that that's the end. But also knowing that you can come and get information about reporting options, whether it's on or off campus, and that my role is to educate them about that, saying, okay, you want to do a law enforcement report. Here's what that would look like. Here is how a state attorney might respond. Here's what an injunction for protection looks like. Because fortunately for a lot of people, like, we're not told or prepped for how to survive, let alone for how to respond or bounce back, right? So really it's like, if you feel like something has happened, reach out and be able to get into a room with someone who can soundboard with you, who can support you, and who could possibly validate exactly what you've experienced. After that, it's knowing that like finding community. If it's not here, there are community resources that are local to Pinellas County, and trying to find the modality. If it's not individual, maybe it's group. Maybe let's find you an online, an online community. Let's getting you. Maybe you don't want to talk to somebody. Maybe you want to do something, maybe you want to volunteer. And so being able to make sure that you find a way to get involved and to define what healing looks like for you would be number one.
Exactly. You have to start off somewhere, somewhere you got to start from the bottom and work your way up. And journey looks different for everybody. So I definitely love that. And thank you for letting us know that.
And I love to think that every student, the day after it happens, they're seeking support, but also knowing that like I have students who come 6 months, a year, 10 years after something has happened, and that your need for support is still valid.
Exactly. It's all about the journey, Some people might get there quicker than others, but everybody still has a journey and it looks different for everyone. So thank you for that. Last question, we'll just wrap it up. What message do you want to convey to the broader community about the importance and advocacy for victims of crime or trauma?
The number one thing, it sounds so cliche, but is to believe. And what I mean by that is we're, not law enforcement who has to be objective. If someone is coming and confiding in you, be that support, hear them, and find out ways to get them connected.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Aubrey, thank you so much for your time and, all your information around, places that you can find here on campus and in school. And we really appreciate all the information that you've given us. So you heard it here first, Bulls. This is Aubrey Hall, and we'll hand it off over to the next host. Go Bulls.
Hi guys, it's your other host and social media manager, Vanessa, and I'm here with my other social media manager and host.
Hello, I'm Madelyn.
And today we are going to be talking about mental health, but we are going to be starting the real conversation of mental health. So first things first is I actually want to give you guys the real definition of what mental health is, which mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. Madelyn, as we start the conversation, what does that mean to you?
Mental health to me is just the state of mind that I'm in at any given time, and the internal and external factors that might be influencing that. Mental health is very important to me. It's something that I've always struggled with, and I think it's really important to mention that mental health can affect anybody. There's lots of people out there who are affected by mental health. It can have visible or invisible symptoms. And if you're experiencing those things, just know that you're not alone and there's people here that want to support you.
Absolutely. I would 10 out of 10 agree with you on that, you know what it really means to me too, especially as it's invisible, it's visible every day. And I struggle with mental health. I think we all struggle with mental health, and that's the importance of bringing this up. So when we bring up the stigma about it, and I kind of mentioned that in your last segment that Madelyn was in, what is the stigma that you see around mental health?
Yeah, I think that some people might have a negative mindset surrounding mental health. They don't know exactly what it looks like or you know, how they can help somebody with it, and I think people are scared to talk about it, which is okay. That's why we're having the conversation today. We want to make it normalized. We want to let you guys know that it's not scary to talk about, and you can be open and it's okay. Yeah, so I think it's hard with that stigma out there of mental health being a negative thing and that you might be crazy or something, but that's not true. You know, there's lots of people that struggle with it.
We all struggle with mental health every single day. I struggle myself with it. You said that you do as well. What is that you struggle with the most for you?
Yeah, personally, my biggest struggle is with anxiety. It's something that I've had my entire life, and I've had to work on it my entire life, but every day is a new day, and I'm persevering, and I think that's an important message too. Even though if you struggle with something that doesn't define you, just have to take every day as one step forward. What about you? Is there anything that you personally struggle with?
I've also struggled with anxiety, but the one that I identify myself with is depression. I've had it basically since I was in high school, and I think it looks different for everybody, and what it looks like for me is, you know, I'm tired a lot, I don't want to do anything, I'm very unmotivated, but that's okay, and it's normal, especially as college students. I think we all experience that mental health issue with depression, anxiety, and all the other ones. What are some other common mental health disorders that we talk about?
Yeah, I think big ones, like we said, anxiety and depression. People might struggle with bipolar disorder. You know, they might struggle with an eating disorder, panic disorder. There's, you know, lots of diagnoses out there. So, you know, you might not exactly understand what every single person is going through, but, you know, there are people out there who do.
And speaking of diagnosis, there is a way to get to help, and the process is a little bit long. I kind of want to talk about it so that people don't think it's very easy. You know, you're not going to get an immediate treatment or answer right away. So can you talk about the process that you've been through to get that help?
Yeah, I've been working on my mental health for years. It's a process. You won't wake up one day and be better. There's no magic pill. There's no magic therapy. Although those are really great tools that can help you. We also have some really great resources on campus in the Wellness Center, and we have some online resources linked in the description of the YouTube. But I think it's important to remember that you've got to keep working with yourself. There's nothing that will magically fix it for you, but if you put in that work with yourself, you can see a better outcome.
Absolutely. And when you put in that work, that means, you know, when it comes to symptoms that you start to see yourself or other people, there are ways to cope with them. So I will say for me, just coping, I like to go outside, I like to do yoga, listen to music, be one with nature. What are some ways that you like to cope with your mental health?
Yeah, so when I'm feeling particularly anxious or panicked, I think listening to music is really helpful for me, finding a quiet place and taking some deep breaths. You know, regulating your breathing and your nervous system can be very helpful to relieve the physical symptoms of anxiety. And then also just taking time for yourself, doing things that you love can really help with the mental aspect of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing things that you love, I think, is something that people seem to forget about, especially when you aren't feeling like yourself. You have to do things to feel like yourself, feel good about yourself, you know. What is some importance around, you know, mental health that you want to talk about as well here? I know we've talked about the coping, we talked about the symptoms. Anything else that you really want to add in there?
I think my most important thing that I would love to say to you guys is that mental health is normal. It's okay to experience. There's people out there who want to help you, and if you are seeking out help, you know, be positive. You know, every day is worth it to keep going. You know, we're going to have bad days and we're going to have good days, but if you do the things that you love, then you'll live a life that you love, I guess, in a sense. But it is very hard, so it sounds like I'm talking all, you know, positive and things like that, but when you're in the depths of it, it is very, very hard, so you have to remind yourself of those things. It might not be easy to stay positive. But if you just make the mental effort, it can really help.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, just to add on to there. Just, it's hard, and even I have hard days too, and we'll get through it. We'll all get through all of the hard days, the good days, and everything will be okay. Thank you so much, Madelyn, and I enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Courtney Brown, and today we're joined here with Victoria Beltran of the Wellness Center. Good evening, Victoria. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, Victoria, talk me through your position at the Wellness Center.
Yeah, so my role, my title is the Assistant Director for Prevention Services. I've actually been on campus for about 10 years. I started as the health educator. And really, to simplify my job, one, my main role is to get students into the Wellness Center. So I'm kind of the face of the Wellness Center. I go out, I do classroom presentations, I do campus-wide events. I collaborate a lot with other faculty members and staff and student organizations to get the word out about what the Wellness Center does, how they can access it, why it's such a great resource. But then my second part of my job is to actually keep students from going into the Wellness Center. That prevention piece is really the public health role that I serve in the Wellness Center, is to make sure that campus is a healthy place, that students are educated with the skills that they need so that they become healthier, so that they actually prevent, right? My role as a prevention services person is to prevent them from developing health issues, mental health, victimization issues, so that they can actually enjoy their time on campus, so that they are not withdrawing, that they're not suffering, that they are really completing their goals of being a good student and getting a job and graduating on time and all that stuff. So really what I do is I go out and I do our marketing communication. I tell students through orientation sessions and other things, really that the Wellness Center is kind of like their one-stop shop of all health and wellness resources that they would ever need as an adult in college. And it's really just a unique resource that I think more students need to know about, and once they know about it, they definitely want to use it.
No, totally. And you talked about resources, and could you just talk about the specific resources that students have access in the Wellness Center?
So students pay a health fee as part of their tuition. And what that means is there is no copayment or deductible to use any of our services. So if they were to go to a provider off-site, like if they were going to go to their own family doctor, they would have to pay a copay when they get there. That's actually what the health fee goes towards. So when they come to the Wellness Center, there is one waiting room, there is one phone number, there's one website. So they don't have to go to different offices to get any of these services. And they don't have to pay anything. They just simply make their appointment, they get seen, and it's covered. And for what we offer a whole host of services that one location makes it so easy for students not to fall through the crack, because they just go to one place and they can access all of it. They can access psychological services, and that is free for the entirety of their college career. So we don't have a limit on how many counseling sessions a student can access. Most students don't need 50 counseling sessions, right? For the most part, we see students maybe about 1 to 5 sessions throughout their entire college career here. We also have consulting psychiatry that students can access if they need psychiatric medication, if they want to consult on that, if they need refills. We also have medical services, so anything that a student would go see their primary care provider for, women's health, immunization, physicals, that kind of thing, or if their stomach hurts, they have a headache that won't go away, they can come see us. The medical side is actually the only side that we do charge some fees for. Like I said, you don't have to pay to see anyone, but if you get blood draw, if you get lab work, if you need a pair of crutches, we will charge students. That's really the side that health insurance comes in on. So if a student has health insurance, we bill their insurance, cool, no problem. If they don't have health insurance or they just don't want to use it, they want to self-pay. We bill their Oasis account, and our self-pay options are so crazy affordable. It's one of those things that blows my mind that students don't use our medical services more often, because even if you don't have insurance, it still is so much more cost effective to see us than trying to go somewhere else in the community. Then we also have victim advocacy, which is a service that is available for students who become the victims of crime. If they find that they are a victim of robbery or burglary or sexual assault is one of the main crimes that our victim advocate works around and works with students for. Our advocate does a fabulous job of working with them to get academic support, if they need to switch housing, if they need, accommodations like going to the court because they don't understand the court processes. That's all free, and our victim advocate helps support students through that. And then my side, where we go out and do the education and all that kind of stuff. So, all the services there to help support a student's health and wellness is really a hidden gem of a kind of service for students.
And also, I know that you guys have a service for suicide prevention. How does that service look?
So our suicide prevention work, we offer a free training called QPR, which sounds like CPR, right? Is to be able to help people recognize the warning signs of a suicide. And really, at any point in time, if a student is struggling with their mental health, they can just simply come to us, make a crisis appointment, use any of our online resources, and really get connected to the help that they need.
And to end it off here, how may people have access to the Wellness Center?
They can contact us online. They can make medical appointments online. They can simply call us to make an appointment. They can walk in to make an appointment. Or they can use any of our self-help resources that don't even require them to come see us. They can simply go on our website and get connected to lots of care that's self-paced and kind of on their own time.
All right. And is there anything else you would like to add about the Wellness Center today?
Use it. Use the Wellness Center. It is such a great resource, and we are just here to help support students in every way that we can, so definitely use it.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, guys, and we're going to send it back to our host in the studio.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Nathan Poinsette, and today I have two special guests for you all.
I'm Kenneth Bright. I am an Army dependent and I'm studying health sciences.
And I'm Rianna McDonald. I am a student veteran and I'm a journalism major graduating this May.
I want to personally thank you both for taking the time of your day to come on the BullCast. I'm very excited. So we're going to dive straight into it. Rianna, what advice would you give to other student veterans who may be struggling with their mental health?
I would say the hardest thing to do is to open up, but you want to lean into doing that. I made a very intentional decision to do that when I came to USF, and so many doors have opened for me. So that's the advice that I would give to other student veterans.
So you mentioned opening up. Let's say a student is not that comfortable. Let's say they're more introverted, or they might not know who to open up to. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that in the military, veterans in general, we're guarded, we're protected, and so even though I consider myself extroverted, it's still hard for me to open up when I need help. And like I said, I was just intentional about it. So it all comes from being intentional. And then if you come to the Office of Veteran Success, you'll find someone who is similar to you, and they will take it from there, I assure you. There's introverts in our office, there's extroverts, and there's everything in between. So if you're not open, someone will open you up.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I'm just, voicing off of Rianna. I think I would tell veterans it's okay to be, it's okay not to be okay. So a lot of veterans with military culture, they prioritize the mission or the objective over their own well-being. So it's hard, like Rianna said, to open up. So yeah, telling them it's okay to not be okay is my first step to getting them to open up. and use resources on campus.
All right, so I got a question for you, Kenny. Have you found any campus resources or support groups that have been helpful in managing your mental health?
So like Rianna mentioned earlier, the Student Veteran Success Center is a great resource. Coming in, you find people that are just like you, people that can help you with every need. Another resource to mention is the gym. I'm very physically active.
What's your favorite workout?
So favorite workout, just calisthenics in general, push-ups, pull-ups. Nice. I love legs as well. But yeah, going to the gym definitely is a good outlet for physical stress, especially with finals coming up. The gym is somewhere I'm going to be for all of this week. So yeah.
Rianna?
Especially, we have so many people that come to our office and they just offer their services and they try to like recruit us to get more involved in the community. And so just if you're, well, we welcome everyone, whether you're veteran related or connected. So if you're just in there hanging out using our computer lab, you might just be invited to like a community event, and in doing that, you're able to talk to people and get out of your own head, if that's something that you're open to.
Okay, for our viewers out there, where is this spot located exactly for our viewers?
The terrace. That's the best. That's the best direction that I can give you. And if you don't know where that is, someone should be able to show you or point you or escort you to that deck.
The terrace by the grind.
Yes, and the airport.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I have another question for you. How does SVO, or the Student Veterans Organization, offer support to student veterans on campus? I know you kind of mentioned a little bit before, but can you give like another specific detail?
Well, to name some of the specific people that have come into our office offering their free services, Coterra. We also have like lawyers that come in and offer legal help for free. Okay. We also have people that work at the local VA clinics, specifically in the mental health department, offer like brochures and pamphlets and any other information that they can help guide us towards.
Okay. Would you echo that same sentiment, or?
Yeah, so SVO is an organization that, you know, works hand in hand with the Student Veteran Success Center. So at SVO, they hold different events, you know, try to bridge the gap, promote inclusivity, and it's open to not just veterans or military dependents, but also to what we call civilians. So if you're not military connected, we welcome you as well.
Right. Okay. I like that. I like that. All right, Kenny. So how can the university better support the mental health needs of student veterans?
So just understanding our culture is, you know, the first step. Like I said before, you know, military culture is different from other cultures, but at the end of the day, the military population is just like any other underrepresented community on campus. And by telling veterans it's okay not to be okay, by understanding their culture, and also a new program that we created called Got Your Six is a program.
Got You Six?
Got Your Six, yeah.
Got Your Six, okay.
Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, exactly. So with that program, it helps faculty, staff, and students understand military culture and try to chip away at those stereotypes that a lot of people tend to believe in.
Yeah. Yes, I fully understand that.
What was the question again?
Okay, I can repeat it for you. Like, how can the university better support the mental health needs of student veterans?
Okay, so Kenny touched on culture. I absolutely think that's important, and then I think it's really cool that you know what Got Your Six means. That's a part of the lingo, and you know, understanding the lingo is a little bit of understanding the culture. But I mean, I really don't have anything to add. I think that he hit it on the nail.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I also have a military background. All of my dad's side is pretty much military, so I kind of picked up on all the little things. And to wrap it up, I have one more question for you both. Rianna, you can answer this one. So how do you balance the demands of being a student and managing your mental health?
Well, time management is, man, that is the #1 skill. And it's put into practice every day. I'm a part of the Office of Veteran Success, and I am involved in the community heavily. So just making sure that I'm where I promised I would be when I said I would be there. That's a part of my mental health because I take commitment seriously, and I just want to make sure I'm not letting anyone down, because if I do, then I'd be letting myself down. And so by maintaining my schedule, I'm maintaining my mental health, and for sure. So, and then also just having a community, like my boss, for example, he just, the way that he talks to us individually, it just helps with my mental health. You know, it's good to have someone check in on you and make sure that he offers to help us in whichever way that he can, and that's just really big.
So he has your 6?
He has my 6.
Okay. Well, thank you two so much for hopping on the BullCast. You guys were awesome, and we'll catch you all in the next segment.
Bye.
Hello and welcome back, beautiful Bulls. We want to thank you today for joining our episode of the BullCast. I am your host, Brittany Marroquin.
Yes, welcome back everyone. I'm one of your hosts, Nathan Poinsette, and today was an awesome episode. We had a couple of special guests. I have some resources for you all, but I can't seem to remember. I need a cue card. Oh, here we go. So, This Is My Brave is having a live production on the USF Tampa campus on April 21st at 7 p.m. So be there or be square. And also, if you want any of the mental health resources that were spoken about in this episode, they're in our link in our YouTube channel. So just check out the links there if you wanted to get more information regarding mental health resources. But yeah, thank you. And last but not least,
go beautiful Bulls!
Go Bulls!